Ever since the start of this current CPT format, there have been a number of players such as Brian F, Minna RD, and Big Bird that have expressed their concerns about the CPT format. However, there's one player that I never thought would give his open and honest thoughts about this current CPT format, and that is Daigo Umehara. Now, Daigo's opinion managed to kind of tie in the broader conversation that we've been having in regards to versus 2, versus 3 being more skillful, but it seems to be that Daigo's hinting at he might not be a fan of the 1st to 2 format that we have, and includes a critique of the game, which he manages to do in a slightly goofy manner. He must do this, yeah.
はい、試合は
Pick it up.
すごく強い相手と戦う柔道される
So in this video, we're going to take a deep dive and look at Daigo's thoughts about the CPT. Okay, so this is where he gets into the CPT stuff. This looks like where the talk is going to happen.
アメリカ行って
Okay.
フランス行ってアメリカ行ってシンガポール4回目で多分最多
Okay, so this right here, Daigo has been to 4 of these events. This right here is already the problem with the current CPT format that we have. If you look at the schedule, so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 events. With those 5 events, each one of them have been in different parts of the world. So we have 3 United States, you had Evo, Cream City, and East Coast. Then you had Ultimate Fighting Arena in France, and he also had the Singapore. Daigo's been to 4 of these already. My issue with this is the fact that not only are they in different parts of the world, but they're so compact and close to each other, it literally makes it impossible to go through all of them unless you're Daigo. Daigo's one of the lucky ones because he can make time to go out to all these events. So you had Evo, which was in the end of July. Then you had Cream City, which was at the end of August. And then after that, 2 weeks later, you had Ultimate Fighting Arena in France. So you went from Milwaukee to France. Then you go back to the United States a little bit under a month later in East Coast Throwdown on the East Coast. Then that following weekend, you go to Singapore. Who has money to be going to all these events that are so close to each other? And they don't really matter because you have to get first place. And so, yeah, Daigo going to 4. I mean, he has some money to do them. Most people don't have the money to do them.
出場だと思うんだけどなんかさそのまあどうせ2人しか出るそれはそうどうせ2人しか
The people, of course, okay.
まあ久々に海外行ってさまあ満を持してかどうか知らんけどまあワンチャンあるかなって思ってやっぱ来るわけじゃんみんなそれがさもののさ7時間8時間
Spend no small sum of money. So yes, he's talking about the money, which I was talking about. Now he's saying to get eliminated within an hour. Yeah, that's rough. That right there is rough. You spend all this money for only 1 or 2 people to qualify, and these are in different portions of the world, just so you can potentially lose, especially when you come to more of these stacker events like the Singapore and the Japan one, where you know players are going to be there and they're going to show out, and even the Evo one, just to pretty much lose and get nothing out of it because the CPT format is what it is.
とおかしいよねやっぱちょっとおかしいよね
Yep. Finally, thank you. Daigo said something, right? Because this right here is pretty unique for Daigo to just flat out and say, I don't know if you said it's a silly system, but the fact you have a Japanese player come out and say something about this system, that's pretty alarming because typically that doesn't happen with the Japanese, especially because they tend to try to be more appreciative because they don't want to seem like they're complaining and they don't like to give their opinion too much. So for Daigo to give his opinion flat out and just say, yeah, the system is a little bit wonky, this is a big deal, and especially for someone like him. I don't know if Capcom is actually going to listen to this feedback, but this is very big. See there, now you go to the Japanese sense where he's apologizing a little bit. It's just a video game, yeah. A toy, yeah. Yeah, see.
まあ贅沢になっちゃったのかなと思ってしまうねやっぱりねなんかさ俺なんかあれ見たのよなんだっけ飛行機でさタイトル忘れちゃったんだけどなんかテニスの映画を見たのねなんていうタイトルだったかな結構面白かったんだけどなんかピークを過ぎた
Best Prime, they faced off as okay.
君が大人になってから対決するんだけど実はなんか昔同じ女を巡ってなんか取り合ったりとかっていう
So he's telling this story. I don't know how this is going to connect to the overall of CPT, but we'll see. where he's going with this.
でさ、あれとかさ、チャレンジャーズ、そうあれとかさ、やっぱさ、そのすげえ過酷な世界っていうのはもちろんあるよ。レベルが高いっていうのはもちろんそうなんだけど、でもさ、負けた人がさ、まあ力不足だなって思って帰っていくと思うんだよ。なんかせめてそれぐらいの気持ちで帰れるような仕組みにはならないもんかなという。
Okay, so he's saying that they don't feel that this system.
じゃないと、どんどん参加者減っていっちゃうような気がするんだよな、この形式だと。
Yes. Okay, so that I right there agree with. The way this current system is structured, not only losing players, it is also losing viewership. I believe Brian F has talked about this before. Since 2019, viewership has been down. Now, of course, 2020 and 2021, you couldn't really do anything about that because it was COVID. And so they had to figure out a way they could do something for Capcom Cup with the confines of Street Fighter V and it being online. But then after that, they went into this current format they had, which is okay, I guess, for the last year for Street Fighter V and maybe the first year of Street Fighter 6. But to then come back with this format, it is essentially killing any sort of motivation for people to want to compete specifically within the CPT. Now, the players, they're going to fly out for the EWC because they know if they at least make a top 8, they're guaranteed a spot. They're going to get some decent money because of Saudi money, whatever, regardless how you feel about that. But in the CPT, the format just doesn't breed any type of excitement like it used to because we don't have any long narrative stories. There's no incentive for the players to really travel. And there's also, I believe Seijan was talking about this in his video when Daigo was talking about why the Japanese players don't travel as much. He was saying that sponsors now, they are reluctant to put jerseys on players because they have nothing to gain from putting jerseys on players in a format where their sponsorship or whatever won't be seen or as visible. And so not only is this hurting the spectators, it's hurting the players because they have no motivation to travel. It's also hurting the ecosystem where players can't get sponsored because of the current issues.
切る。まあというかだからそのプロ So
he's still saying that the pro hasn't been worked out. I don't know if I agree with the concept of a pro still hasn't been worked out. I think to a certain degree, there is a way to be a pro. It's essentially you have to be a decent enough player and you also have to be a content creator because you have to provide some type of value outside of being able to play the game. And so I don't know if I would agree with the concept of a pro still hasn't been worked out yet, but it is starting to be fleshed out currently what it means to be a pro. Brian F has talked about this, and so yeah, I don't know if I necessarily would agree with Daigo saying right here, but I can kind of see where he's coming from, where he's saying it still hasn't been kind of solidified what it means to be a pro.
プロも全員オープントーナメントに参加してるから
That's why they can't do yeah, the open tournament.
って話で、でもまあなんだろう。まあトパンガリーグみたいなさ
Topanga League
形じゃなくて、まああれはまあちょっとやりすぎかもしれないけど、それにまあ準ずるぐらいの試行回数と人数絞ってさ。
So I think he's just suggesting
いけないっていう、そこが俺は結構やっぱり
maybe making invitationals. I don't know. Is that what he's hinting at?
ということと競技性を担保したまま
competitive environment.
そう。
So I didn't think he was kind of gonna go here, but it basically seems like, from what I'm getting, this is the debate that we've been having in the Twitter sphere about the first to 2, first to 3, what, etc., etc. But it seems to be that Daigo's hinting at he might not be a fan of the first to 2 format that we have, and doesn't necessarily thinks that it is a proper way to maybe determine who's better. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting. I could be wrong.
勝者を決めるっていうことが相反するんだな。例えばその人気の試合を移してたまに
Thing can be done.
誰々は7対3ですねとかさ。
Okay. So it's like about matchups.
正直ある程度の参加資格のある人たちだけで出て、トトロボッチさんやと。でもなんでそれが不可能かっていうと、
streaming, okay, yeah.
さなきゃいけないっていうのがあるからと。配信してるから有名になれるのもある。
It's also one way players can.
有名になるぜと思うわけ。例えば予選
saying streaming is one way players gain notoriety. That is honestly what I was saying earlier, part of being a pro. You have to stream. But then Daigo comes in and says this right here. He said, I feel like winning will make you famous anyway. And this, I agree with. The more you win, the easier it is for you to build a streaming. Think about Nephew when he first started in Street Fighter 5 making content, yeah, he was doing well, but his content wasn't taking off as much as it was once Street Fighter 6 came out. Prior to the game fully coming out, I believe either won one of the invitationals or did really well at one of the invitationals, and then the first couple of events he was doing really well, and so people kind of got accustomed to him. So I would agree to an extent that yeah, winning does make you famous. Specifically, it has happened with Nephew where his growth in his YouTube channel kind of took it off because he was essentially a good player. So people started to follow him for that. And so winning is the direct path to getting a following, but then it's up to the players to capitalize on that by doing things like streaming and stuff like that.
例えば予選とかはもう映さない、ほとんどもう本当に著名な人だけ映してもうみたいな。まあだから別に今でもそうじゃん、ぶっちゃけ。でもガンガン回しちゃう。
Just turn throughout those sets, an increasing number of matches per set.
5先2回負けましたとかさ、7先2回負けました。
Lost 2.
もっとやだったらテニスとかだともっとじゃん、ぶっちゃけ10先どころじゃないでしょ、テニスなんて時間で言えば、15先2回負けました。ただもう出らしてきますって感じじゃん。Oh,
okay. So now I get what he's saying. Okay. Because I didn't get this earlier. So he's saying that the tournaments now, the way they're run, it's felt as whenever you lose, you don't feel like you have to try better. So that's why you get a lot of these tweets where these players are saying, oh, Street Fighter 6 is random. Street Fighter 6 has Tibu neutral. Which shouts out to MidRD for that. So that's essentially what I think he's getting at, where the first or two format combined with the CPT doesn't give players the feeling of, oh wow, I lost, maybe I gotta try again and do better. It's just, well, I lost. And then on top of that, then you have exorbitant costs. So I kind of see where he's going with this. Okay, I pick it up where you're going, Daigo.
もう実力の差でしたっつってさ、ニッコーっつって帰れるじゃん。頑張ろうっつって、なんかそういう世界になんねえかなと思っちゃうんだよな。
Yeah.
最強いやつは勝つと思うけどね。勝ち続けると思うけどね。
Yeah. Those were the rules. Okay. You'll see the same three players. Yep, top three every time. If you went fully competitive, he's saying that you would lose viewership. We're already losing viewership. I was saying this earlier. If you put the best format possible and it's Punk, MidRD, or whoever it is, and those are the same 3 or 4 players that are winning, the audience would not complain. Even if it's the same matchup, they want the best players. If you look at any of the videos where people are discussing CPT, like I've looked at some of Brian F's comments, some of his fans, they want the best players because that's what makes it interesting. It may seem like it sucks, but I think you need those overwhelming forces. It gives not only players something to strive for, where you have like a player that you can just take down, it also makes it exciting because people are tuning in to see if that super player can be beat. It's like when Punk was on his tear in 2019 and 2017 and he was looking unbeatable, people were paying attention to that stuff because they're like, man, yeah, this guy, can anyone beat this guy, right? And it made it that much more sweeter when Idom in 2019 won the Capcom Cup because of the mountain that it seemed like that no one else could climb. And so yes, we want it to be fully competitive because at that point it will make for more interesting stories. Yeah, I just don't completely agree with him saying that if we went fully competitive, the viewers wouldn't be interested. No, I think they would be even more interesting.
まあまだまだ先の話かな。ゲームがそうなるのはね。いずれはそうなってほしいなという願いはあるけど。
That way eventually. Yeah, I agree with that. I do hope they go into a more competitive way.
スターが誕生するんだよちゃんと。毎回3人じゃねえ。あいつらマジ強いやつがね。色あいつだねみたいな。いつだよねとかさ。トギンス顔が険しくなってきた。
Takuya's face looking more certain like this.
トギの見えてねえけど試合見えてねえけどフルフル時々のキャンセルラッシュ
Now he's talking. Man, I do like this this older Daigo and being more expressive because coming here before this, he definitely was not like this. He was more robotic and it's good to see him be more expressive. CPT for you. Daigo just completely dogged the CPT, bro. He was like, not only the CPT, but the game. He was like, drive rush, throw loop. Oh my goodness. Bro, this is crazy to me that you have a player of his status coming out and saying something like this. He's essentially saying this is a Mickey Mouse format and it's a Mickey Mouse game. Yo, Daigo. Search for line. Here's search for line. Select your travel day. Reserve your own. So you must train thoroughly. You must do this, yeah. Make it begin after that. Bro, he's saying this is CPT, guys. Select your airline, select your hotel, train for your tournament, get to your match, and get throw loop to death. This is crazy to me. This really is. Oh my goodness, bro. No, oh my goodness. This is crazy to see some of the Japanese players, especially Daigo, say this. Now he's being goofy about this, but that's how a lot of players feel about this game. There you have it. You have Daigo saying this game's not skillful. Granted, he did it jokingly. That's more or less not his word, but based on this video, that's the vibe I'm getting.